Hello, welcome back to JR Oil Painting 101. My first video I posted was a little bit long, it was over an hour, so we're going to break this one up a bit and have several parts. So first part is just to kind of rehash a little bit. I do a wet on wet technique painting, and I've already got the canvas prepared. I've got the liquid white on a 20 by 24 canvas, stretch canvas. We don't use canvas board because cardboard in the canvas board would absorb the oil in the liquid white, and it wouldn't really work very well. So got it all ready, slick, ready to go. And what we're going to do first is we're going to put a little sky up here in the sky. We're going to put a little phthalo blue. Just going to tap a little bit into the bristles of our brush here. Just tap it in. I don't want a whole lot, just a little bit. It makes clean these. See, I don't think you can see that very well. Let me reposition my light here just a little bit. There we go. You have just a little bit of paint in the bristles there. And a big 2-inch brush. Don't take very long. So we just first darken the corners, and then just little back and forth strokes. And it'll gradually get lighter and lighter as we go. Like I said before, I usually don't plan out my paintings. I usually do it kind of by the seat of my pants, just compose as I go. But this one's going to be a little old barn in a meadow here, or in pasture land, maybe a little fence or something right there. But like I said, we're going to have, this is just part one. This guy, we're going to put in a couple of little clouds. Pardon me. We're going to put in a couple of clouds in the first part, and maybe some distant trees in the background, and that'll be part one. And then we'll do part 2, 3, and so on and so forth. That way, maybe it ain't so bad when I try and download or upload this thing. It took a little while to upload the first one. It was over an hour long. So there we go. Yeah, that's a nice little sky to start with. Now I'm gonna start with a fan brush, if I can find the right one. There's the right one right there. I like the number 3 fan brush to make clouds. It makes nice little clouds. And this is the number 3. Number 3 fan brush is a little smaller than the number 6. Yeah, about half size. So we're going to take the number 3 fan brush here and get some titanium white. Just load it full of color, full of titanium white. And there we go, just like that. Nice and full. Just gobs of paint on there. And you got to figure out where you're going to put your clouds. My first cloud's going to be way over here. And that's why I left some lighter spots in the sky, so you can kind of judge where you want to put your cloud. So my first cloud is going to be right here. Just tap and spin the brush. Just turn the brush, let it dance around up here. Just make little cloud shapes. Don't forget over here. And we're just going to tap it in there and just kind of let it go off. Right there, just like that. Don't look quite enough. Oh, I can't even hardly see that, can we? Let me adjust my camera just a little bit, because you're not seeing the top of that cloud shape there, are we? There we go. Now we can see it. Sorry about that. Thought I had that position just right, but I guess I moved it. Anyway, you got your cloud shape up here, and I know it don't look quite like a cloud just yet. But give me a second. There we go. Let's see. Let's position the camera so that you have to forgive me just a little bit. I'm still trying to figure all this out. There we go. So take your big old 2-inch brush, clean and dry, nothing on it. And just when you use this top corner of the brush, just the corner is going to touch this. And you're just going to make little bitty circles. I know it looks like I'm using a lot of motion here, but it's just that top section of that big corner there. And it's just going to mix that cloud up just a little bit. And you're going to try and stay away from the very top edge of the cloud. You're just going to hit the inside of the cloud and the bottom edge. You're just going to do that. Now, excuse me a second. I need to get the paint off that brush. There we go. And then we're just going to fluff it up a little bit. Just kind of stroke like this. A little C stroke. Just fluff it up. Like you're fluffing, just fluffing it up. Just a little bit. And then very, very gently, you're just going back and forth. You're just barely touching the canvas here. And if you want to think of it this way, you're just touching the paint on the canvas. You're not touching the canvas itself. Now you're just going to fluff that up just a little bit. And just like that, you got your cloud. I think we're going to put another one in there. I rather like the way that one turned out. Now you got to stop and consider how many clouds you want in your painting. If you just want the one, fine. Just put the one cloud in there. But if you want to put more than one cloud, notice how this is kind of a nice light color, light shade. When you go back in there, don't just put one right over here. If you want to overlap them, just leave some of this little blue areas here, the lighter color, and before you get to the cloud color, get a little, like a separator in there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And we're going to load the brush, just like we did before. A lot of titanium white on the brush. Both sides. Just going to fill it full of paint. Just like that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can tell it's got a lot of paint on there. That goes all the way back to the ferrule there. And then we're just going to tap it in there, just like this. See, you're not going straight up to the canvas. You're going to overlap just a little bit here. But you want that separator. If you don't have that separator, it's just going to look like one big giant cloud. And then we're just going to trail that off just a little bit. Now over here, we're going to put just a little, kind of like a floater, just a little indiscreet, or just almost imperceptible little cloud here. We're just going to just like that right there. And we're going to take our big old 2-inch brush again, same way, just like we did this one. Try not to hit that top edge, and just, at least not yet anyway. And you can go either way, whichever is more comfortable for you. Circular, counterclockwise, clockwise, whatever. And you're just really touching it with that corner of the brush. See there? You can see where the, you could if I had a light. Anyway, my lighting's not too good in here. You can see, just hit that top corner of the brush against that cloud. Knock off that extra paint, excess paint, and then just fluff it just like that. Just barely touch it. Just barely touch the canvas there. And then very gently, you're just basically brushing the paint. Just gonna blend it in just a little bit. And this one over here, we're not gonna do much to it, just back and forth it just a little bit. Take out some of the tap marks to it. You gotta be careful with how much you blend this thing, because with it being wet on wet technique, you got a wet canvas here, and if you try and blend it too much, those clouds will go away and leave you. They'll just say goodbye. Had enough of you. All right, we're gonna mix up. While you're looking at my cloud here, I'm gonna go over here to my palette and mix up some colors for some distant trees here. So we want some dark colors, some blue, sap green, black, and just a touch of alizarin crimson. So you got phthalo blue, sap green, black, and alizarin crimson. It's gonna kind of have a brownish hue to it, but I'll put a little bit more sap green in there side. It'll have a greenish hue. Now, I think I mentioned before in our first video, in the landscape, the things far away is going to be a lighter color than the things close up to you. The closer it gets, the darker stuff will get. The darker the trees will get, anything else that comes forward. So take a little bit of that color that I just made up here, and we're going to lighten it up with a little bit of titanium white. I know you can't see this, it's kind of boring just mixing paint. But it's going to be a kind of a really loose mixed paint. You want that variety of color on there when you tap your brush into this and tap it onto the canvas. You get a multitude of colors instead of just one color. Now for the bushes and trees today, I think we'll use the half-size round brush. It's kind of got an oval shape at the tip, but it's easier to handle and makes really nice faraway trees. And what you're going to do is you're just going to tap a little bit of color. You don't need a lot of color in here because these are going to be very distant trees and bushes, so you don't need a lot of color in here. So we'll start over here at the far end, and excuse my hand, it may get in the way. But you're just going to barely tap. Don't put a lot of pressure. Put more pressure on it, you'll get more color. We don't want a lot of color right here yet. If you get too much, just go back and tap it back. And kind of turn your brush, get some different shapes in there. And just keep going. Just a very light tapping sound, or a very little light tapping. We'll go up here, higher trees in there, bigger trees. And some bushes, bush shapes here and there. We're just going to tap. That's all we're doing there. Just keep tapping your basic tree shapes and bush shapes in here. Now, these are going to be far away. We're not going to want a whole lot of detail. Once we get some other things in here, you'll notice that these will blend into the background and they'll just look like faraway trees. You don't want a lot of detail. If it has too much detail, it'll look too close to you. It'll kind of ruin the illusion of distance. That's all painting is illusion, and you just got to remember it's all about contrast, angles, and illusion. So we got our little distant trees in here, trees and bushes. Now we are going to put just a touch of a couple of tree branches, trunks and things like that in here. So it'll look, you'll see a few of these, you won't see a lot of them. You just see a few. Just use that same tree color and thin it down a little bit. Get it to about the consistency of ink or water, and we'll get our script liner brush. And then wherever you think there should be a trunk or a tree, you can either go down or up or however you want to do this. It doesn't matter. You get the same illusion here. Now it's just playing with illusions here. So you're just going to get the indication of some tree trunks and other little deals. And just like that. You don't want them too dark. If they get too dark on you, just go back over them. That's what I like about oil painting, this wet on wet technique. Because you got plenty of time to fix anything you don't like. And if you just keep brushing into it, or blending it out, you can soften all this up real easy. Well, I say easy, it takes practice. Everything takes practice. Just a little bit of strokes, a little bit of instruction, and a whole lot of practice. And there you go. And that concludes our first part of this series of this painting. Like I said, my first post was way too long. It was over an hour, and I'm not sure anybody's going to click on that first one. So we're going to end part 1 here, and we'll pick up with part 2 shortly. This is going to be a photo or a painting of an old barn. So I don't have a lot of videos out there right yet, just one, and these will follow probably tomorrow. So thanks for tuning in, and tune in for part 2 coming soon. Thank you for much. Thanks.